嗨，各位今次咧我哋嘅傾偈咧就喺我嘅 basement 嗰度啊。咁咧，因為今次肺炎咧，冇人可以出得街，咁啊唯有咧就用 Zoom 嚟，大家喺度可以傾偈。咁今日咧我就揾到一個係喺呢一度係地產嘅頭號經紀阿 Mike Chaisson，咁咪同我哋傾下偈。咁我等阿 Mike 係自己介紹自己啦。Okay, Mike, and I just introduce you in Cantonese.
It
So
sounds way better. It sounds way better in Cantonese, of course, than it does in English, I think.
that's good. That's good.
I sound
So
way more important in Cantonese, let me tell you.
so how about you introduce yourself and tell us what you do for a living rather than me introduce you then.
Well, my name is Mike Chaisson. I'm a realtor with Remax Nova in Halifax, and I help people buy and sell real estate, and that can be homes, businesses, land, buildings, farms, you name it. If it's real estate, I'm involved with it, and I've been doing it now for 20 plus years, and I love it.
Oh,
I love it.
okay. So
Yeah.
for over 20 years, you're still doing it.
Still doing it, still loving it.
Oh, still loving it.
It's
Okay, good.
unique. It's unique. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Now, many people think, okay, I get a realtor then to buy a home or sell my home. Um, all you have to do is to list my home, wait for calls, and take people and show it, and sign the dotted line, and that's all they think you do. Can you tell me, something behind the scene? What else do you do to worth your paycheck?
Well, certainly. And if that's all that was involved in it, I probably wouldn't be in it 20 plus years, and I probably wouldn't love it as much as what I do. So, I mean, if I start from, say, if selling your home, certainly one of the things that we do, that I would do, is I have to come in and give you a market valuation of your home, because you're going to want to know what your home is worth on the open market. And from a selling perspective, then I'm going to walk you through perhaps some things that you need to do with your home, like minor repairs, painting, things that you probably should fix, whatnot, how you could stage your house when preparing for the market. We've got to measure out your home. We've got to now video your home. We've got to take pictures of your home and get it ready for the market. And because sellers really want to be able to maximize the value of their home in the shortest amount of time possible. From a buyer perspective, buyers coming into the market, that's really different from selling your home. Selling your home is one thing, but buying your home, when you come, especially if you're new to Nova Scotia, and I love new people coming to Nova Scotia because I get to show it off. So the first thing I want to do, even before you get here, and I know you're talking to people mostly in Hong Kong, is before you get here, I want to know as much about you as possible. I want to know, what you like to do, what you like, are you coming here for business? Are you coming here for work? Are you coming here to invest in a business? Are you coming here to open up a business? Or are you coming here to slow down? What do you want to be? Do you want to live in the core of the city? Do you want to live outside the city? Do you want land? What size house do you want? Things like that. So I'm collecting a lot of information on you first. I'm not as interested in the home so much as I'm interested in you, and I want to know as much as I can about you. And then once they get here, the first part of when people get here, I'm like a tour guide. So I get to show off the city that I love. I get to show off perhaps sometimes the province I love, and to get them out there. And then I get a sense of what they really love about the city, or what they're thinking about the city, and where they might like to put down roots. And once I've collected all that information about you, and we've done some traveling around together, now I can match a home, business, building, whatever, to you. And that's kind of how that works. And then from there, then it's a lot of then we get into the nuts and bolts of it, offer, counter offers, accepting of offers, and then you work through all your conditions to make sure, my job also is to make sure that what you think you're buying, you're actually buying. So then I switch from being tour guide, real estate agent to going through the house with, I'm getting all the relevant experts to come into the house that you want to buy to make sure that it is what it is.
Okay. So it's a much more your service, just you, okay? Your service is much more involved than buying, selling, showing homes, and end of story.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, because if it was just that, I mean, it wouldn't work. I mean, I wouldn't be in this business 20 years if it was just, here's a home, buy it. And I don't think of, it's certainly not a transaction. I think it's, it's not just you're not just doing a transaction. You're building a relationship because if you're living in a home, I'm here now. You're here. I'm going to want that relationship to last.
Yes, definitely.
So I better do my job and do it well, and I love doing it. So that's a good place to start.
Okay, so for the viewers, let's talk about the market first.
Okay.
On the macroeconomic viewpoint, now is Halifax or Nova Scotia a good place to buy a home? Of course, I'm talking about before this coronavirus thing, before it even started.
Yeah.
Now everything is not that good. Nowhere is good now.
Right. Well, I mean, prior to the coronavirus, crisis, I guess we could say, the market here in Halifax and Nova Scotia was quite hot, and it had been now for going on over a year. And I feel like, well, certainly we're in a holding pattern right now because of this. And, as are pretty much every business and commerce and industry out there, everybody's in a holding pattern, and as they should be. I get the sense when this passes, when we get to the other side of this, when the market starts to show some sort of stability and normalcy, I think we're actually going to get back to where we were. And I get the sense that it actually might even be busier, because I think Halifax and Nova Scotia has so much to offer that people are going to now see us as a destination to say, hey, I want to move to that place. And I think because we've seen, I mean, our growth has been fueled by immigration. 60% of our growth in Halifax alone has been fueled by immigration. Oh. And I think that's just going to continue to grow.
Okay. That's why I heard that the housing market in Halifax is very tight. So is it a good time to buy now?
Yeah, well, the short answer to that is yes. Because again, once we get to the other side of this, no matter how you look at it, is I think Halifax and Nova Scotia in general is still undervalued on the market. Certainly on the world market is absolutely undervalued. The average price of a home in Halifax is $324,000. That's that's pretty good. That you can, and I think if we were having this conversation, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years into the future, I don't think I'm saying that as much as I am now, that it's undervalued. Yes, the market's hot. Yes, prices are going up because buyers are outpacing sellers, but it's still good value.
Okay, because you mean the median price is $320,000?
$324,000 is the average price of a single family home in Halifax.
Okay. You know what? I was talking to a buddy of mine in Hong Kong. A parking space worth more than that.
No.
Yes.
So, hey, listen, I can get you lots of parking spaces for that.
Oh dear. Okay. So you also mentioned, yes, you want to show off our city and all that. So why is Halifax or Nova Scotia, the province as a whole, is a good place to live, you know. Can you expand more on this? Why so good to live?
Yeah, that's a great question. Glad you asked it too. One thing I like to tell people, I mean, no matter who you are and you come here, I mean, we tell our friends this as well. I mean, we're Canada's ocean playground. Well, guess what? No matter where you are in Nova Scotia, you are never, and let's say this by car, if you're in a car, because traffic is not bad here in Nova Scotia, right, James? Is that no matter where you are.
It's okay. It's okay. There are good and bad days.
But outside of Halifax, there's no traffic unless they're working on the roads, right? But you are never more than 30 minutes from the ocean. No matter where you are in Nova Scotia, you are never more than 30 minutes from the ocean. And so, but to answer your question maybe a little more in depth, if I start with Halifax, Halifax, of course, is a port city. It's rich in history, trade, commerce, immigration. You know, many, years ago, Halifax was their first port of entry for many immigrants. Halifax has got some, nice parks, and there's even beaches within the city limits. We've got 6 universities in the city. Oh my goodness. It's also Canada's East Coast Naval Base is here. Irving Shipbuilding is here. We have a vibrant downtown core, fantastic shops, eateries, brew pubs, entertainment. And so that, I guess, so that would kind of describe, the core of the city that people just love when they live in Halifax. But also we've got some rich communities that surround Halifax as well, like Bedford, Sackville, Cole Harbour, Fall River, Tantallon, Timberley, Clayton Park, Hammonds Plains. These are all suburbs that kind of surround the core of the city of Halifax. And they're all very unique in their own right, and what they have to offer in their sense of community, how they make up. I can describe it, I guess, best like this, that Halifax as a core is greater than the sum of its communities, and the communities are great, right? And the housing prices to that, I mean, I know I said, $324,000 is the average price of a single home in Halifax, but each of those communities have varying degrees of prices. And I guess you could kind of look at it like in the city, obviously prices are much higher than the 324, and some of the communities are a bit below that 324 mark, and some of the suburbs would be like Bedford and Hammonds Plains, Fall River would be a little bit above that as well. So, that kind of gives you a bit of a snapshot of Halifax and the surrounding communities. But all those communities are such a, they're a great place to live, and some of them offer you a bit of land, and some of you offer you sort of that urban living, suburban living. But then if I go outside of that and sort of talk about Nova Scotia, and take a drive, 30 minutes, 60 minutes, an hour and a half, my goodness, you're in a world away. You're in a world away of what you just left in Halifax. It's not, when you leave Halifax and you drive for 30 minutes or 60 minutes, you're not going to run into another city. What you're going to run into is, perhaps, pristine coastline and beaches, and, that would be maybe along the South Shore with its unique towns and villages with their unique culture and what they have to offer. And it's so inviting, and you can just pick up and go, and it's not that far away. And then if you go in another direction, perhaps you can get to the Annapolis Valley in less than an hour, and that's the breadbasket of our province. And you can walk through orchards, and you can tour a vineyard, the world-class vineyards that we have have around here. And another thing that I like about living here, and my wife and I do this, and I mean, we've lived here most of our lives, and I don't know that there's another place I'd rather live than in Nova Scotia, because if I'm not busy on the weekends or whatever, we can become tourists on the weekends, and we do it all the time. You can just pick up, drive for a little bit, and you can be a tourist in whatever little village or community you come across, and you're going to run into all these unique places around our province. And it's so interesting. And I say all that, I've talked mainly, about the mainland, and I've said all that without even mentioning Cape Breton, which might be the jewel of our entire province in beauty, with the Cape Breton Highlands and the Cabot Trail. Google it, you'll want to come and do it. And I would say that I would encourage anyone, Halifax and Nova Scotia, I guess to sum up your question a bit better, is Halifax and Nova Scotia is a unique blend of beauty, culture, history, community, and it's just teeming with opportunity. So I'd encourage you to bring anyone, come, bring your talents, your treasures, your dreams, and I think you'll love what we have to offer.
Yeah. Yeah, I only talk about the mainland. I haven't even touched Cape Breton yet,
Yeah,
and
I have to
it's a
talk to somebody
totally
about Cape
different
Breton,
world.
but I mean, Cape Breton is so beautiful.
Yes, it is. So now, so of course, if people move here, they do have to find a place to live.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that before. You are like, if somebody want to buy a home, you would like to be their tour guide and know your client first and all that. So what do people need when they want to buy a home here? What do they need to consider, put it this way, when they want to buy a home here?
Well, I think it's likely a combination of kind of what we just talked about in that, what is it you like to do? What is it you like to do in community? Do you want your neighbors close? Do you want them far away? What amenities are important to you? Do you like living in urban setting? Do you like living in a suburban setting? Do you have, are you a large family? Are you a small family? Is going to university important for, do you have kids that are going to university? Or perhaps, do you want to own a small farm? Do you want land? Do you want to be on the coast? Do you want to be on, the great thing about here living in Nova Scotia is that if you want, you can live on the coast. You can live on the ocean if you want. Is that important to you? And is it important to be close to work, or are you, we're entering a time phase, and I think this is going to change even more so now with what is happening, is how we work. I mean, I think more and more people are going to be, working from their place, working from home, and I mean that's gonna allow even more and more people to come and live here, work here, stay here, and play here. So yeah, I'm looking to find all of that out. Is church important to you? What's a good fit in church? Do you want to be close to your church, or do you want to be close to work? Or is it important to be close to both? Those are all things, is commute time important to you? Those are all things that are that I want to know, and then we can work through that and around that and find a great fit. And usually, you tell people when you're out with them, it's like, you'll know when you know. And it's like they kind of look at you like, well, I don't know if that's good advice. Well, sometimes that's the best advice, because I'll know, because you'll know, and I'll see it in your eyes. And I do when I'm out with buyers and we hit that home. We've looked at so many, and I've seen that reaction, and then we walk into a home, and without even saying a word, you can see it in their eyes.
Yeah.
And that is the place for them. And it just fits and it works.
So you're talking about mostly, buy a place to live.
Yep.
How about buying a place to invest? Now, of course, you can buy a place or condo and rent it out. That's invest.
Right.
Or you can buy some business real estate, and those are also definitely investment. So I know you involve in both residential, commercial, industrial, and all that.
Yeah.
How is the commercial side now for rental real estate or business real estate?
Well, the business real estate is commercial real estate has kind of mirrored the residential market in some degree. That it's been a busy market as well. It's with a growing population, growing workforce. It's added to the growth of the commercial market. The commercial buildings that are being built right now are numerous, and so that's a very busy market as well. So, and new businesses are being attracted into the city. So it is about the same. It's showing the same kind of growth and same kind of buyers starting to outpace sellers in the commercial end as well. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah. And if you asked about the rental market.
Yes.
The rental market is really tight right now. It's hovering right around that 1% vacancy rate. So I mean that's really tight, and even below that, I think it kind of changes a little bit, but not too much. And so it's very tight. But that's great news if you're somebody who wants to invest in residential real estate. The residential market, whether you want to invest in some small multi-unit apartments, or if you want to invest in large residential apartments. Because the market has such a low vacancy rate, the landlords are building apartments pretty much as fast as they can. And I don't see that slowing down anytime soon over the next number of years. And also because of that, you're able to, I think investors, if they want to, are able to pry those buildings away from them because they can get good value for them now. And with the market the way it is, there's good value, there's going to be good return in the future. And it's a business certainly right now in Halifax, with the growth of Halifax, that is very scalable. So you can come and you can scale your residential rental market to whatever level you want really in Halifax right now.
So
over the next number of years.
I suppose a lot of my viewers may be thinking about condos.
Mm-hmm.
So is condo a good investment? Buy it to rent it out or buy it to live? That type of market now.
Two schools of thought. The lower end condo tends to be more of something that I think you would rent out. The higher end condo market is strong. The lower end condo market is, although busy, it's not nearly as busy as the high end condo market.
Oh.
Yeah, the high end condo market is actually quite busy. And if you look around the city right now, those are the condos that are being built. Most of them are the condos that are being built are high end condos. And because the rental market being so strong, that the investment dollars right now are being put into the residential apartment buildings, the rental apartment buildings, and or the high-end condos.
Okay, can you give me a price range? What is high-end condo?
Just over $1 million.
Okay.
Yeah. That's a quick answer, but I mean it can. When I talk of, I guess, of a high-end condo in Halifax, 500 to $1 million is kind of would be considered kind of in that range. 500 certainly be on the low end of that, but the low end condos would be that 250 to 500 market.
Okay. Okay. So actually, if you talk about 324,000 for the average price of a home to 500,000 for a condo, so it's it is quite a range though.
Yeah, but that's normal, James, in any market. I mean, it doesn't matter if we're talking in the Vancouver market, in the Hong Kong market, in the Toronto market, Halifax market. When you get an average price of a home, there's such a number of homes that are sold under that that they tend to bring that average down. However, most of the people that move in here are likely to buy a home over that average. Like if we went and looked up the average home in Toronto, for example, most of the people that we would be talking to are going to be coming and buying above that market value.
Yeah.
The turnover, because when we take an average, we're taking all sales into account. So if somebody buys a piece of land just outside the city limit, or at the edge of the city for $9,000, it's included in our average, right? So everything is included in that average. I could break that out, but I didn't think for the interview that we should be getting.
No, it would be too technical.
Yeah, I get into that with buyers I get into that a bit more with buyers when they're coming, and I give them that range because we would certainly be talking about different averages. If I talked about Bedford or Fall River,
Mm-hmm.
core of the city, we're going to get different average values of the average value of homes are going to be different in each of those communities.
Okay.
That
So,
makes sense?
oh yeah. So now, after all that, you know, you and I both, we have to eat. How are you going to charge for your client? How do you charge your client?
Well, that's a good question as well, because that's an important part for me, I guess. But I think it's best to describe how it normally works in the market. Now, there's all different ways of it, but how it normally works is that when I list a property, or when a realtor lists a property, somebody's selling it, you go in, and part of that is that you enter into a contract to list and sell their home. Within the body of that contract is a fee for your services. In that fee for service, the seller and the agent agree to put a portion of that fee back out to an agent working with a buyer. So here in Nova Scotia, in many cases, the majority of the case, the seller pays for the commission for the buyer's agent. So if I'm working with a buyer, the seller is actually going to pay for my commission from the proceeds of the sale. From the proceeds of the sale, the money he gets from the buyer for his home, he kicks a portion of that back to commission for the buyer's agent, as well as the seller's agent. So that's sort of in a quick way how that works. Now, from a buying perspective, you also enter into a contract with a buyer. You know, you say, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. It's a 4-page document that lays out specifically what your obligations are, your fiduciary duty to act on behalf of the buyer in negotiating and everything else that's involved in it. And for that, you state there what commission you will be paid. However, in the body of that contract, it also states that you will ask the seller for that commission, so that it is clearly defined in a contract. So there's nothing hidden, and there's no surprises, because it's all laid out in a contract. Yeah.
So one thing, how about maybe you can answer it, is for the buyer.
Yeah.
If they need financing.
Yep.
What would you introduce to the buyer?
Well, it depends on what sort of buyers are at all different levels of what type of financing they need. And that's services that I can certainly offer and put them in connection with the right people, because there's certainly programs out there for new to Nova Scotia. If you need that program, I've helped many people through that. New immigrants to Nova Scotia, there's a program for them that helps them get the down payment. But in a lot of cases, people moving to the province, a lot of them just get a conventional mortgage, which really you can get a conventional mortgage in Canada for 20% down of the purchase price. So really, it's not, when you're looking at average price depending on where you move, right? You can buy a $400,000 home with really $80,000. Right?
Yeah, down payment. Yeah.
And you're in a conventional mortgage. And I mean, and of course, everywhere around the world right now, mortgage rates are fairly low.
Yeah,
money is cheap.
The Bank of Canada just cut the rate to what, 1% or less than 1% now?
No, it's under 1%. They've made 2 quarter percentage cuts in the last week and a half, weeks. Yeah, so they just cut it again. They had an emergency cut the other day. So I mean, I think we were one of our central bank was one of the higher ones in the free market world, I guess, as you say. But they're coming down. So I mean, I think we're probably, I would think we're going to be in around that 0.5% range out of our central bank. And,
but that's central bank. How about
Bank of Canada?
Bank of Canada. What's right now? What's a 5-year mortgage looks like?
5 years are right around a 5-year fixed I think because of what's going on is pushed up a bit. Banks are kind of taking, so, you know, around 2.4, depending on, you know, 2.3, 2.2, it's a bit negotiable. Variable right now is where a lot of people are jumping because,
Oh.
you know, because you can get a variable well under 2% right now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Variable. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe
And
that.
it all depends on what your risk factor is, your age, perhaps. You know, I mean, you know, I'm starting to get up there, so maybe I would consider a fix, but you know, variable mortgage has been the place to set your money. I mean, really here in Canada, the last 20 years, it has not been a bad place to put it. I mean, ever since sort of the collapse of the savings and loans back through the 80s, that they've got measures in place that really protect these wild swings up in mortgage rates. So variable has been a great place to put your to decide on where your mortgage is, the
Okay.
type of mortgage.
So, okay, thank you very much, Mike. And I suppose there will be more questions coming in.
Yeah. Well, listen, if anybody has questions for me, if they want to get a hold of me, of course, and I don't know if you're going to put that on the thing, but
yes, I will. I will
my
definitely.
email address, my phone number. Will that be on? Okay.
Yeah, I will definitely put your email address, phone number, etc., in the description part of my video.
Okay, that'd be great. And if anybody wants to drop me a line and say, "Hey, listen, we're interested in this. Can you answer a couple of questions about this?" And of course, in the world we live in, I have no problem, you know, with some face-to-face if we want. I'm for, you know, you can get a hold of me that way, and we can arrange a time. And you know,
We're doing Zoom meetings right now.
Time change, so what?
Doing Zoom meetings like what we are doing now.
You got it. It's a great way to do it. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, James.